We'd appreciate it. We'd also ask for you to mute yourselves if you are not speaking. If you forget to mute yourselves, we will mute you for you. So we appreciate your cooperation there. We have a lot to get through tonight. We have a fairly packed meeting, so we're going to do our best to try to keep ourselves on schedule. We've designated certain amounts of time for each item on the agenda, and we would very much appreciate your cooperation trying to keep to those time constraints as much as possible. So with that started, let's call to order and take a roll call to see who's here and confirm attendance. So commissioners, when I call out your name, please respond present if you are here. Representing 4D01, Commissioner Joy Pinckney.
Present.
Representing 4D02, Commissioner Kate Judson and Vice Chair. Not present. Representing 4D03, Commissioner Carson Lucarelli.
Hi, present.
Representing ANC 4D04, CC Corniotis and Treasurer.
Present. Thank you.
Representing 4D05, Commissioner Stephen Morensic.
Present.
Representing 4D06, Commissioner Amon George and Secretary.
Present.
Representing 4D07, Commissioner Clark Weigel.
Present.
And I'm representing 4D08. So we have a quorum and we can get started. First item is approval of the agenda. So the agenda was circulated on our website for the past week. Are there any changes or additions or edits to the agenda from any of the commissioners?
No.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Okay. The mayor's community liaison, she said she's been on hold waiting to get in the meeting for a while. Has she gotten through?
Thank you, Miss Pinky.
Okay. All right.
She's in, yeah.
Any changes to the agenda for tonight from any of the commissioners?
One change, I think we can strike what is currently listed as item 12. We'll discuss Berean Baptist Church at this meeting, but consider a resolution at a later date.
Without objection. Any other changes or additions to the agenda? By unanimous consent, the agenda is approved. Just as a matter of public knowledge for any of the people who are attending tonight's hearing tonight, there is an open forum, so you'll have a chance to speak. If there is a particular agenda item that you would like the commission to take up or vote on or deliberate about, please feel free to contact your individual commissioner and we can happily talk you through the process about how to get something on the official agenda for our public meeting. Next item, we have approval of the minutes from January. Are there any edits, additions, or corrections to the minutes from any of the commissioners?
No.
I move to approve January 2023 meeting minutes, but then I'll have one more motion after that. Without objection, approved by unanimous consent. Commissioner Jordan, what is your motion? It was brought to my attention that I think we misspoke during the January meeting, and it wasn't said that the date of our first meeting in January in 2024 would be January 18th. I believe the correct date is actually January 17th. So I would move that we state that January meeting will be January 17th rather than January 18th, 2024.
So moved, Lucarelli.
Without objection, approved by unanimous consent.
Second, yes.
Excellent. Minutes are moved into the record then. Next up, we have a treasurer's report from Commissioner Corniotis.
Good evening, everybody. As a commission, we're still in the process of adhering to participating in the ANC Security Fund. But we did have a very productive Anthony and I had a very productive meeting this week with Don Dickerson from the office of ANC, where she provided us with a very detailed training, so to speak. And we have not yet written any checks at this point. So the balance of about $8,000 or so remains unchanged. And I just want to say thank you again to Commissioner, my predecessor, Commissioner Israel, for all of what he's done as well to get us up to speed. So that's my update from the treasurer's corner, so to speak.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next, we have updates from city officials, along with questions and comments. First up, we have a representative from MPD. Do we have anyone here this evening from MPD? No?
Yeah,
we
they weren't able to get back to me. I called them and they said they're working on getting somebody starting next month to
Thank
come
you.
ready up.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And what I've noticed also is that there's a officer, I don't know if you've received these emails, but there's an officer that's conducting coffee with a officer. So I'm not sure if he could designate someone from 4D as well.
Yeah,
Or-
because I've talked to him as well. Yeah, but the number on there was for the liaison, so they're kind of going back and forth. But hopefully, we'll have a regular person for the rest of the year.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a representative from the mayor's office, I believe.
Hello, thank you all for having me here today. I wanted to let everybody know about some things that have happened in our community this week, starting with what I just came back from, which was a shooting. The victim is alive, alert, and stable. It was in the Fort Totten apartments about 3:35. The individual was shot walking into his apartment, and the shooter did end up leaving. And so there will be additional information going out once the police have more footage, but wanted to flag everybody on that because that is something that just happened, and crime is affecting all of us throughout the country, but also specifically in Ward 4. Additionally, for those who are able to come on Monday to the grand opening of Ethel, thank you. Ethel is already on its way to housing quite a few families that have been experiencing houselessness, as well as individual people as well. So super excited about that. And another thing with helping with the public safety, specifically with our students, with the help of DC School Connect, we've been providing buses to make sure that the kids in the neighborhoods, it started with Ward 7 and 8, but it is now spreading through our areas where schools have been impacted by gun violence and by drugs. And so for us in Ward 4, some of those schools are looking more up in the Coolidge, Roosevelt, Ida B, and even Whittier. And so these buses will be making sure that all of our students get to where they need to go safely, which is super exciting. Apologies about the background. But yeah, so that has been some of our most additional things, as well as with the shooting with Metro. There have been 5 additional areas, 5 additional metro stations that have the combination of both police and Metro police working together. And for us in Ward 4, that is the Georgia and Petworth metro station. And so they will be having a larger police presence to help with the security issues we've been having there. But I am opening up the floor to any questions as well. Oh, mute.
Has there been any follow-up regarding the mayor's crime meeting that she had, that Commissioner Weigel attended, I believe, from our commission?
Mm-hmm. One of the big things that has been happening, as I'm sure you guys are all aware, is Congress has been pushing what they believe we should be doing as DC residents. And because we are not at a state sometimes we're at the whim of Congress. And so Mayor Bowser has been working really hard to make sure that our voices are being heard and standing our ground as DC residents to make sure that we are in charge of our own destiny. And so that is sort of that spinoff from that conversation to make sure that when it comes to revamping all things revolving around crime and public safety, that DC residents' voices and the people who live in DC and love DC are the ones leading that charge.
Okay.
Question. Oh, please. I'm sorry, Commissioner George.
I just want to clarify one thing. I saw some reporting that Mayor Bowser was specifically not lobbying Congress on their attempts to overturn the RCCA. Is that true, or is that in conflict with what you just said?
So it is, to my understanding, one thing that Mayor Bowser continuously said is that Congress, President Biden, we are individuals in the fact that she doesn't want Congress telling us what to do, and that is up to Mayor with the bridging and the relationship of DC Council. They are the ones who should be leading DC, not Congress.
Hello, I'm Commissioner Pinckney, 4D01. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you again. And nice to meet that beautiful, fluffy little friend who keeps photobombing you this evening. I have a question. You know, I am one of the commissioners who signed the petition to keep them from dismantling or moving our homeless people McPherson Square. Because at this point, including locations here in 4D, but all over the city, they're finding housing and locations for persons who've been just dropped here from other states. But to dismantle that because that is totally contradictory to what the president said we would do with our homeless people, but it's not just people. Those are their dwellings. And what they do is go in and just throw away their things like trash. So did they make good on tearing all of that down and throwing it away today? Or were we able to postpone that?
So it did happen. And one thing that has been said, something, as you guys know, I have been new on staff in the executive office of the mayor. And coming from the background that I did, it was something where I'm like, what are we doing? And it was truly where I had to sit down with my leadership to get a better understanding. I'm like, yes, with global warming, we've had hotter weather, but for the most part, we keep going in and out of hypothermia alerts and different things like that. And it was brought down to me like this: McPherson Square is federal property. And because of that, unfortunately, Mayor Bowser was not able and doesn't have that authority to close something like that because of it being federal, because of it coming from a federal stature. And that is why things are happening like that, because it is within DC. When a house of encampment gets closed, there are certain rules we follow, whether making sure that items get put in pods, making sure that there is a certain 30-day, I do not know the correct date, so don't quote me on that, but I know there is a certain amount of days we have to follow, as well as not having someone go houseless or homeless from a part of their encampment during those hypothermia alerts. However, federal does not follow certain rules. And so that is what it is my understanding and what my directors have told me, that because McPherson Square is federal, this came from a federal thing. And so that is everything I've been told.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Question from Abel Amin. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name.
My name is Abel Amene.
Abel Amene. Okay, thank you.
I'm going to try to be kind but a lot of the things that have been said just now are incorrect. And it, I'll start with, for one, RCAA. The mayor has clearly said she has no intentions to defend it. And despite the fact that she's been touting statehood, has done nothing to lift her finger to do anything. I myself am an Ethiopian immigrant, and the voting rights bill is also about to be overturned, and the mayor has done nothing, even though she was the first introducer of that bill in 2013. On McPherson Square, I was there just earlier today, and it is also false that the mayor has no power. She specifically requested the clearing. And on and on and on. There is this doom and gloom about crime, but the mayor has done nothing to contribute to serving the community. Just today, she released a school budget that defunds many, many schools and puts the funds into central office. I know you're new at this job, but please, there's no need to cover for her. Just tell us the facts. A lot of what you said was incorrect. And I'm just going to attribute it to not knowing. But almost nothing you just said is true.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Saying what you did and sharing your perspective. I do appreciate it. And love the spirit. And I can tell that you care about your community, and that's important. I believe that everybody here does care about their community. It's after work hours and taking time to be there. But I will say that I stand by what I said. Those are the things that have been told to me, and those are the things that, when it comes to the McPherson, it is on federal property. So, yeah.
Question from Commissioner Lucarelli.
Yeah, thanks for allowing me to unmute. Mr. Cola, thank you for coming here tonight and speaking before us. I really appreciate it. Well, I'm not gonna, my question has to do more surrounding the district's third traffic fatality, which occurred in our single member district the other day. There was a loss of life in a vehicular crash at Georgia and Ingraham Street. And I'm just wondering if you could provide us with some more information on what folks in your office are doing to sort of better understand what happened, and what's going to happen moving forward here. I mean, we've really got to do something about Georgia Avenue. I mean, it's incredibly dangerous, and the design of the street is attributable to why people drive so fast down it. And we've been promised things in the past by DDOT, and I'm just getting a little frustrated here. It's because we shouldn't accept any death or injury as simply the cost of doing business. We've really got to do better here. So with that, I yield back. Thank you.
Yes. With DDOT, we definitely get, in all of my ANC meetings that I have gone to, and all the ANC meetings that all the other mokers have gone to, we hear DDOT again and again and again. And I know as mokers, we've sat down and we're like, all of our ANCs have the same messages about DDOT. We all have that one street or that one corner that we keep pressing and pressing and pressing. And so I know from a moker's side, and this is for all 8 wards, what we are trying to do is have a meeting with all the ANCs to meet with DDOT, as well as go on walks. I know one will be happening soon, to talk about those things, and not just talk about it, but have that action plan. This today, if you've been a Washingtonian for a while, the mayor does walks through areas in the community. And so it's up to the mokers to help plan out the route. And one of those things that I help plan is making sure that when it comes to the fatalities, both with traffic, with fires, as well as with shootings and stabbings, making sure that the mayor's walking through those, because when she's there, she can make sure, look at the director of DDOT and be like, hey, why is this happening? And so that is something that I'm doing to hold DDOT accountable, as well as making sure that we can all sit down, because it is so easy to message something to someone through an email or through a screen and not seeing a face. And I think when you get into that same room and they hear these stories, like, people are dying at the end of the day. Like, this is very serious and something does need to get done. And so that is why I'm wanting these meetings where everyone is at the same table or at the same street corner and being in that partnership to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And, there's some work that we'll do internally to try and put this on their radar. But yeah, I would welcome the mayor and her parties and Director Lott, to come out here and walk Georgia Avenue with us, and to make good on some of the things that they promised after, Zaire Joshua, for instance, was run over at Georgia and Kennedy the other summer. So thank you for that. And you'll be hearing from us. I appreciate you coming to these meetings, and take care.
Absolutely. And then there was also something that I just remembered. So on this past Sunday, many of us got the alert that there was a really bad fire in Ward 4. Thankfully, this time there was no lives lost. However, there were 13 people displaced, all ranging from the age 4 to 74, 13 people living in one house, one restroom. And I wanted to bring awareness. Everyone, we know hopefully we know the people in our neighborhoods, and we talk to them and reminding them of safe ways to be living, specifically when it comes to overpowering the outlets with what's it called? Portable heat spacers, heat blankets, and things like that. Because so far, every fire we've had in Ward 4 has started with a portable heater. And it has started from overpowering the outlet, specifically the one this past Sunday. Because there were so many wires going into an outlet, it created an explosion. And now we are working in partnership with MOLA, the Mayor's Office of Latino Affairs, to make sure that all of those 13 people do get housing, as well as making sure that they have the correct resources for the kids to go to school. There's kids at Whittier, Ida B, and Coolidge. So please continue to spread the words throughout your neighborhoods of the safe ways of making sure we all have fire alarms, we have smoke detectors, and not overpowering the outlets. So please continue to spread that.
Thank you for the information, and thank you for joining us again this week. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Next up, we have a representative from from Janice Lewis George's office.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, this is Barbara Rogers, and I am actually going to have to hop off fairly soon. As you all may know, it will be starting in a couple of minutes. We had to reschedule our final Listen as We Climb form, and now we're combining it with the Ward 4 budget form that starts in a couple of minutes. But we wanted to thank you all who joined us at the 6 in-person Listen as We Climb events in Ward 4 over the past month. We got a lot of good questions, a lot of feedback from the community. So we do want to thank you all that came out to participate. Just quickly, we've gotten calls about DC Medicaid renewal applications. So our constituent service team is actually working with residents. If you have a resident that may need our assistance, please reach out to us. And the Aussie issue continues. Our office is actually in contact with Aussie about the urgent need to resolve the issues that they're having. Aussie is also having a 2-day hiring fair, which actually is tomorrow and Friday. And it's going to be at 441 4th Street Northwest. So if you know of someone that may be looking for employment, you can go to Aussie's website for more details, but it is actually tomorrow and Friday at 441 4th Street. And then finally, you all know that this is performance and budget oversight hearings for each agency. So we do need ANC commissioners, community members to testify about the issues that are impacting our neighborhoods, including important matters such as staffing cuts at our rec centers, public safety issues, and problems with government services. So the full schedule of the hearings, you can go to JaniceWard4.com to get a list of the schedule. And finally, if you are not on our Ward 4 newsletter, you can go to ward4news.com and sign up to get our newsletter, weekly newsletter. And we do a senior newsletter quarterly. I think the next one will come out in March. We did one in December. The next one will be March. So if we have a senior that doesn't have email, we will actually mail them a copy of the senior newsletter. Thank you all so much. And I don't know what time your meeting will end, but the forum ends at 8:30. If you all get off in time, please hop on to the forum.
Ms. Rogers, do you have a moment? I know you have to rush for questions from the commissioners and the public.
Yeah, I have an assignment over there, so I do have a few minutes.
Okay, very, very briefly then, any questions from commissioners? No. Any
I just
questions?
asked very quickly, sorry, my toddler is playing her Coco Melon doll, but anyway, can we in some way get back briefed on the meeting this evening if there's any action items for 4D specifically?
Sure. We will be taking notes, and we can definitely forward anything relating to 4D. I will also put my email and phone number in the chat.
Any questions from the general public? Thank you, Ms. Rogers. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you all. You all have a great night and have a great meeting.
Thank you. And Ms. Gooding-Jones brought it to my attention that I missed her hand raised where she had a question for our mayor's representative. So my apologies.
No problem. I remember last month that I asked you to take back to the mayor that parking enforcement were not doing what they were supposed to do on my block. I don't know about anybody else's. And it's just still the same thing. I haven't seen them around here. No tickets are being given. We have a lot of out-of-state parking going on. Some people park and they don't have the sticker that's required. So I wanted to know if the mayor or you had got in touch with DDOT to ask that question and why it is that they can't do a regular, these parking enforcement people cannot come through our streets regularly.
Sophia, I don't know if you're still listening, but I think that question's for you if you're still on the call here.
Yes. Hi, Ms. Laverne.
Hi.
I did reach out to DDOT and they said they were going to look at that, and I will reach back out to Cornelius. It's your email. If you feel comfortable sharing it right now, you can, or you can privately chat me it, and then you can see the follow-up with Cornelius.
Okay. All right. I'll send you my email. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Do we have anyone here tonight from the Board of Education? I don't believe we do. We also, I don't know if Brian.
Looks like Anthony froze. Hopefully we'll be with us again in a sec.
Well, while we're waiting, I'd like to say happy Valentine's Day, pass to everyone, all of the commissioners, and to the persons who are attending on the call. And we really appreciate you coming and being a part of our second full meeting with you guys.
Sorry, everybody, my computer froze. Am I unfrozen now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I was just asking if Brian Jones was here. He's one of the violence interrupters, and he said that he might be here this evening. No, Brian Jones. Okay. Next up on the agenda, we have commissioner announcements. I have one announcement, and then we can talk about committees before other commissioner announcements. First is that of executive meetings. So last month we talked about our public meetings, which are hosted on the third Wednesday of every month. We forgot to announce that the commissioners will hold an executive meeting on the first Wednesday of the month. These are purely planning meetings. It's an opportunity for us to just put together the agenda. We don't do anything official. We don't pass any motions. We don't deliberate on anything. But these are public meetings. So if anyone from the public is interested in sitting in and listening, you're welcome to do that. The dates and times for those meetings will be posted on our website. The other thing that we discussed at January's meeting was the possibility of putting together committees to explore in depth some of the issues that were raised at the January meeting. We discussed 3 potential committees, and I'll mention all 3 of them and the commissioners who are going to be serving on them about these tentative ideas. So we'll start with the commission or the Committee for Public Safety, which will be headed by Commissioner Judson and Commissioner Weigel. Commissioner Judson is not here tonight, so Commissioner Weigel, I don't know if you want to talk a bit about the committee and its intended work.
It's still very new, so that could change once we all get together and come up with great ideas. But I volunteered to head our public safety committee primarily based on my experience working in the public schools for the last 7 years, and then the regional charter schools for 8 years prior to that. So I have a pretty good understanding of the challenges that our families face at all levels across the city. And especially in my current role, I visit 28 schools in all wards and hear all kinds of things, problems going on that are citywide, not just Ward 4 specific. I was super excited to hear about that bus service earlier. I don't know why I'm talking about that now, but in general, the public safety stuff, it's a big passion of mine because a lot of times it does come back to making sure we have better services available for families and youngsters and, folks who traditionally don't get the access that they need. So I'm excited to work with our constituents and invite local residents to join that and bug the crap out of the mayor and public safety offices with good ideas.
Thank you, Commissioner Weigel. We also discussed creating a committee focusing on environment, health, and safety, which will be headed by Commissioner Corniotis. And I think, am I mistaken, Commissioner Weigel, are you on that one too? No.
I don't know. We
Okay.
last time.
Would either you or Commissioner Corniotis like to tell us a little bit about that potential committee?
I think the main goal is just designing a way or a system to ensure that people can report if there's an especially dirty block, and then they want, maybe like a committee of litter pickup team or something else to respond to it. Basically like local solutions for local problems. That one definitely falls under, here's a big one for everybody around here, is rats. And that's probably going to be the biggest topic addressed there. But that also comes down to working in conjunction with Department of Public Works, the quality of our trash cans. I think it was, I'm trying to remember, we were discussing composting and, all like really good ideas, but things that would take, a group of 5 and a resolution and, all the official government bureaucracy stuff to push it and get official responses.
Thank you. And then the third committee we discussed about was a committee for transportation and zero vision. And I think that one was with Commissioners Lucarelli and Commissioner Morensic. So I don't know if either of you would like to talk a bit about that.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I think zero vision is a great way to describe the current approach of the Vision Zero initiative that the mayor signed into action, several years ago, because traffic violence has only increased since then. And so that's why I feel compelled to serve on this committee. I take, we begin and end every trip as a pedestrian. And so no matter how we're getting there or what mode we use, it's important that, all of the spaces that we share within the right of way are safe, equitable, and comfortable. And we need more action on these matters. And so I look forward to getting things done.
Thank you. And for members of the public, I think we very much would value input and engagement from other members of the community. So if anyone is interested in participating in any of these three committees or all three of these committees, feel free to contact the commissioners directly who are heading that committee, or your SMD representative, and we can certainly put you in touch. And so please do let us know if you're interested in engaging with this work. Are there any other commissioner?
What about the library committee?
I'm sorry, Commissioner Pinckney?
What about the library committee?
Is that an actual committee? I wasn't sure whether that was.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I thought it was.
Well, you're in charge, Commissioner Pinckney. So if you'd like to make it a committee, tell us about it.
Yes. Well, at our last meeting, general meeting, and at another meeting where commissioners in general were discussing, they closed the library in 4D, and there's no public library in any of the areas of 4D. I'm passionate about having a library and library alternatives, and I invite any constituents. I would like to have maybe 2 from each SMD on the committee to talk about the library, and while we wait for a library alternatives, because not just children need to have access to the library, but there are a lot of elders who are in the neighborhood who physically can't get all the way up Georgia to the beautiful brand new library up there. And so things like bookmobiles and working with existing libraries and the brand new library downtown, maybe we can work together and come up with some ways in which to engage our residents across 4D. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Pinckney, and thank you for heading that project. Are there any other commissioner announcements?
I have one from Commissioner Judson, who could not be here this evening. She just wants to remind everyone that Shellfish Market is now open for business at 5th and Kennedy, helping to activate the corner. It's a Black-owned business, and the owner, Prince, has long ties to the community. This is his first brick and mortar business. He previously had a food truck. It's a really positive development for Kennedy Street. The corner spot has been closed for over 10 years. Prince has put on a lot of time and money into making this establishment beautiful amenity for the community. I've driven by a number of times and loved seeing the open windows. So we'll be stopping by real soon. So I encourage everyone to stop by and see the design.
Is he gonna, I'm sorry,
No,
is he
please.
gonna have an open, like a grand opening? Do you know?
I don't know personally, but I invite everyone to reach out.
Any other commissioner announcements? Okay. Yes.
I can briefly, I did my first DC Council oversight testimony this morning. If anybody is interested, at the Office of the City Administrator, advocating for a whole of government response on transportation safety and Vision Zero, specifically urging the city administrator to help with some budgetary issues that DDOT has faced, work hard to expand transportation equity throughout the city, think strategically about traffic enforcement and ways to ensure that unsafe drivers, correct their behavior, take off the streets, and continue to build out a low stress bike lane that actually allows people to safely travel from one place to another in the city without fearing for their lives. Encourage anybody to check it out, and I'm happy to discuss those issues with any of our residents who might be interested.
Thank you, Commissioner George. Commissioner Morensic.
Just a reminder that it is a performance oversight hearing. And so if you are passionate, as I know so many of us are, about issues, now is the time where the council is really listening from constituents. So please reach out. And if you have any issues or you, as I previously said, if you want advice on how to create testimony, then please reach out to your SMD, or you can send me an email too. I'd be happy to give you some advice as well.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commissioner announcements?
Also, I'm just going to put in the chat, council member Louis George's upcoming oversight committee scheduled hearings, one of which is an issue close to my heart, which is the Children and Family Services Agency on February 24th. So if anyone, again, as Commissioner Morensic stated, is interested in testifying, I am putting a direct link to at least council member Louis George's upcoming oversight hearings.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commissioner announcements? Okay. Next, we'll turn it to our public forum. So this is an opportunity for the community to speak, raise any important issues. We ask that community members keep their comments to about 2 minutes in order to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to speak. Anyone from the community have any issues that they would like to raise? Any questions, problems, concerns, complaints? All right, hearing none, we will move up. Something from Zach.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'll be very brief, but in the vein that everyone was talking about the performance oversight hearings going on right now, I did testify 2 weeks ago in my private citizen capacity at the DC Public Library oversight hearing because I was concerned that the movement towards a new library in either Brightwood Park or Manor Park, which was recommended by the library itself 2.5 years ago almost, was sort of falling behind schedule. And I was one of the few people from Ward 4 who testified there, and the executive director, Reyes Gavilan, was there as well. And Ward 4 Councilmember Louis George, pushed back very hard against the executive director when he basically was saying that he didn't say it explicitly, but you can read between the lines that they really don't have an interest at this point to actually build a new library in our neighborhood, which was extremely disappointing to hear. It seems like their goal almost is just to close the existing library in Shepherd Park and build a new one at Walter Reed, and that would be the end of it. And so there was someone from the Shepherd Park Friends Library Association there who pushed back hard as well. Their goal is to preserve their existing library up there, and then they're also supportive of a new library in our neck of the woods. So I just wanted to raise that to your attention, that it was extremely disheartening to hear the head of the library basically dismiss his own agency's findings that there's a service gap in our neighborhood. And Councilmember Louis George even asked him, did the library ever respond to ANC 4D's resolution on this last year? And he said, no, I don't recall receiving that, when in fact I did email it to him in my role back then as a commissioner. So he said he would respond at this point to either me or the commission now. But I just raised all of that because it seems like that's falling on the back burner, and I would hate to see us lose momentum. So to Commissioner Pinckney's point on a library committee, I think it's a great idea. I think the library's budget hearing is in late April, so I would urge you all to push back against the library on this and testify in your roles as commissioners of that budget hearing so that we save the idea of a new library in our neck of the woods. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, Zach, this is Commissioner Pinckney. Can I add you to my list as working with us?
Sure.
Thank you so much. Can you, I think I have your information, but if you could send it to me, that would be perfect.
Yes, in the chat, I'll send you my email address.
Yes, and I also understand, I think we found our wonderful secretary, he found the document that you all created in support of the library. So thank you so much.
I see a hand raised from Jennifer Asher or Cheryl Rice.
Evening. I'm with Jennifer. I am just concerned about the new no parking signs that have been installed on the 5200 block of Illinois Avenue. I did give my concerns to Commissioner Lucarelli, and I identified to him that, you know, we were able to supposedly park there as an offset or a trade-off for losing parking spaces on 9th Street. And sometime during the middle of the night, someone installed no parking signs, and about 8 residents received parking tickets since the signs were installed, but they weren't there. I think what happened is the night that we parked, but by the time we got up the next morning, we had signs with them, we had parking tickets. So we were just concerned as to whether that issue would be addressed at some point in time with DDOT. And that's the only concern I had.
Thank you. Commissioner Lucarelli, do you have any information that you can share about that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I was going to ask if it please the chair, I definitely wanted to address the gentlelady's concerns. Yeah, it would appear that those no parking signs are contradictory or, you know, incongruent with the traffic improvements that were proposed along that stretch. As I told your neighbor, Cheryl, I have the attention of MOKers as well as DDOT on the matter, and I don't want to speak too soon. And so that's why the only update I'm able to give at this point is that it's on their radar and they're actively looking into it. And as soon as I get more information, I can provide it to you. I'll drop my email again in the chat, but it's 4d03@anc.dc.gov. I usually respond within 1 to 2 business days. So if you send me an email over there, I'll keep you in the loop along with Ms. Cheryl. Thanks.
Any other comments, questions, issues from members of the community? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next order of business, which is to something that carries over from last month about
there is something in the chat, Anthony, from Kyle Kelly.
Kyle. Kyle brought up an issue about Tropium Mart being closed, no walkable store to get fresh produce. Is this an issue that has been raised in previous meetings? No grocery store in the area that sells fresh produce. That's a really important point, Kyle. I don't think that this commission, as far as I know, has addressed that specific issue recently, but that's a really good point to raise. And so that's something that we can talk about as a commission at our next planning meeting, to talk about how we can investigate and look at ways that maybe we can encourage that kind of those kinds of food sources along the Kennedy Street corridor within our ANC. Thank you for bringing that up.
Excuse me, this is Commissioner Pinckney. In the meantime, there is a produce place, was it a market, at Kennedy and 14th. So if you go up Kennedy to 14th, there's a fresh produce market on the corner. I'm not sure that that's really in our jurisdiction, but that may help you a little bit until we're able to discuss it.
Thank you, Commissioner Pinckney. Any other issues from the community?
I see a couple more hands up in the chat.
I think Zach, is this a new question, or is this just a comment or is this your hand raised from before?
Sorry, I'll put it down. My apologies.
That's all right. No problem. We just wanted to make sure there wasn't something else there.
The other person put them down too.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments from anyone in the community? Okay, we'll move on then to a piece of business that carries over from last month. This is the Mariachi Bar and Grill. Commissioner Lucarelli or Commissioner George, or sorry, Commissioner Lucarelli, this is your item, I think.
Yeah, sure. So basically, this is just to provide everyone on 4D and you know, our constituents with an update that we are resuming, or we're requesting that ABRA reinstate the protest period for this item. For what it's worth, the hearing that occurred last week happened to be when I had was dealing with COVID, and so for obvious reasons, I wasn't able to attend that meeting. However, I've drafted a reinstatement, a protest request that Commissioner Cece and I are working on, and you know, our intentions are to get that over to ABRA within the 10-day window that was established, I believe, on Wednesday. And so there's more to come regarding this item, but that's the update for right now.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next up, we have alley naming in 4D06, which is, I think, you, Commissioner George.
That is me. Not a whole lot to report, except that for those who remember, there is an alley in my SMD between 9th Georgia, Buchanan, and Crittenden that is the proposed site of some new single-family homes. And prior to that process, there's going to be an effort to give the alley an official name. The developer who is leading that project joined our meeting last month to ask the community for name ideas of, you know, important people in our community who would be worthy of receiving a street named after them in the coming year or so. I know that we got a few ideas from the community, so I think the three potential names are Elizabeth Catlett, David Driscoll, and AJ Cooper, and I'll put little links to who each of those people are in the chat. I think the next step will be probably having discussions with the individual neighbors around the alley to let them chime in on who they would like to see that street named after.
Thank you, Commissioner George. Appreciate it. Next up, we have two new matters to bring up. The first is the Berean Baptist Church. Commissioner Pinckney.
Yes, good evening. The Berean Baptist Church is pastored by Pastor Childs, and it has been in existence since the 1950s and under 4B. That's where they are moving from. He's recognized or recognized he was reassigned to 4D by the increase of 2 SMDs under 4D. So when they did the rezoning, that's how they're now with with 4D instead of 4B. He and his church are new to 4D, in addition to some of our neighbors. During the process, the pastor and his team honestly and routinely engaged the community. This is what impressed me the most, and it showed me how the church regards their community. I, for one, am so happy and fortunate to have them as a part of my SMD. I would like to now, because they're going to share with us these specifics about their project. So I'm going to now introduce to some and present to others Pastor Childs and his team, and they are of the Berean Baptist Church. Pastor Childs.
Thank you, Commissioner Pinckney. And to the commission, let me first of all say we're glad to now be reassigned. Since I've been at Berean now 38 years as pastor, and the entire time we've been 4B. This is the first time we've actually been shifted to 4D. So we're looking forward to our relationship. We had a good relationship with 4B. But this project that we're dealing with now, we're hoping to do something that will reach out to our senior members and also be an asset to the community as well. The Berean was built, this location was built in 1968, and we've been a part of the active part of the community of events that have been going on since then. I'd like to share, we like to do an overview. 4B Commission Hour, we did not have a commissioner at the time, but three of the commissioners came together and supported us to lead the commission in voting to support our effort. Now that we've been reassigned to 4D, we'd like to also get your support as well. We're about to go before the zoning commission soon. And so we just love having our community support with us. So I'd like to share our screen if possible. And then I could, or do you want the presentation?
No, Commissioner Lucarelli, I think you are the host for the meeting. I think, are you able to allow Pastor Childs to share his screen?
Yeah, Pastor, have you tried to share it already?
It says a host disabled.
Okay. Let me see. That's interesting.
Well, the developer is on.
Who can share?
Mohammed, are you available?
Pastor, go ahead and try now. This is Commissioner Lucarelli. You should be able to do it now.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Mohammed Kokar is our developer. Mohammed, are you on?
I am on, everyone. My apologies. This particular timing ran into a very small window. I'm picking my daughter up from ballet at the Davis Center. And so for the next 10 minutes while I'm signing her out, I won't be available. But Pastor, I'm more than certain you can go through the beginning of it, and I'll double right back in. My apologies.
Okay. I'll just go through, and I saw Christopher Miller. He's also on. He's a part of the team, as well as Bridget. And so if you all want to jump in, certainly feel free to do so. The history of the church, we were founded in 1877, and we were originally at 18th and L Street. They eventually moved to 11th and B. That building is still standing, which is now the Christian Tabernacle Church. And then in the middle is the church where we are now at 924 Madison Street Northwest. To the far right is our new construction that we'd like to develop. The first floor and the basement will be the church. The first floor will be the worship center with the 4 levels of residence, primarily affordable housing for seniors. This is just a view of what the church will look like in the future. And then the basement level, there'll be 25 parking spaces. There's a conference room for the church with a couple of office spaces. Also, the church has now a pipe organ. And so we've made room for that to be placed there as well as other space. The first floor will be the worship center with the sanctuary, multi-purpose room, and then the entrance from the front. And the way our church is now, there are no steps, so you go right in from the street to the actual church. And then the lobby is, the lobby for the residents will be separate from the church entrance. There'll be a total of 35 apartments. So floors 2 through 4 will have each unit on there, 10 units on each level. And then there's a penthouse level as well, which will comprise of the 5 units. It has a residential amenity space, outdoor access, green roof, and solar capabilities as well. So we're looking into providing those opportunities for us. Berean will maintain ownership of the development. This will provide quality senior housing. We also retain the church on site. We've been proud of the pipe organ that was built in 1982. And so we're looking forward to even expanding that to include performances for community events as well as pipe organ concerts. There's a multi-purpose space for art-focused community programs, as well as other community development events. Open multi-purpose space, which will include those community events. And the project is being developed by a minority lead team of DC-based companies. So what we had asked ANC 4B to do, the project requires a map amendment consistent with the DC future land use map, and we've had discussions with them. And so we think our architect has pretty much basically designed the building to meet all DC codes. The property is presently zoned as RF1. We're seeking a zoning map amendment to rezone the property to a RA2 zone. And so we've gotten a letter of support from 4B. And so our next step is to get your support as well for D. So if you have questions, any other members of the team want to share anything?
I just wanted to, hi, I'm Chris Miller. I just wanted to chime in and say it's one of the few remaining pipe organs in a house of worship in the district. I think there might be 3. So it's a rarity that we're trying to maintain.
Thank you. I see a question from Commissioner Lucarelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pastor, thank you for that presentation. I just want to let you know that I'll be in support of this project. I think the idea of co-locating the 2 uses on the site is a really smart move. And I think that it signals your understanding of the need to provide what so many people in this district lack, which is affordable housing, especially for seniors. And so I just wanted to ask if you could speak a little bit towards the levels of affordability that will be sort of baked in to these units. I believe I heard you mention that there will be some income restrictions. And so, for instance, what AMIs will these be set at, and for how, and what will the terms of those AMIs be? Typically, or in the jurisdiction that I work for across the river, typically we see units locked in for a period of 40 years. So I was just wondering if someone could speak to those things from your team. Thank you.
Chris, you're our finance person.
Yeah, I can speak to that. The AMIs will be at 30% and 50%, and in the 40 years as well.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, across the river, we would refer to that as deeply affordable. And so, that getting units like this in 4D is really great, because it ensures that the people that have been here the longest, as well as those coming from outside 4D, have the same bite at the apple as everyone else. So, thank you.
And interestingly, you mentioned about the space and utilizing the space. I'm sitting in the building now, and it's just an empty building. So it'd be great to have it used for residences as well. So we feel it would be used every day. And so that way it's just not an empty sitting building in the neighborhood, but something that will be very useful.
Yeah, and I have to say the pipe organ looks beautiful. I did want to raise one more question, and that was, you discussed at the penthouse level that those are going to be, there's going to be units up there as well. What's a little unclear to me is if the building will yield any commonly accessible open space for the residents, or do you have to have that penthouse in order to get a breath of fresh air?
Chris, you have it?
No, it will be at the penthouse level amenities will be accessible to the residents, and there's also a ground level space as well outside.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think we saw during the pandemic how important it is for everyone to get access to fresh air and sunlight. And so, with this being sort of something that we're living with now and having just recovered from it myself, I can tell you that one of the things I wish that this unit that I live on Kennedy Street had was some common open space. And so after being locked in here for 7 days, I was going a little crazy. So it would have been great, to have, something like what you're proposing at this building. And so, yeah, again, thank you for the questions, and I look forward to supporting this.
Thank you.
Question from Commissioner Morensic.
Just another comment about, I love that this space will be making use of the area, not just on Sundays with a large parking lot. I like the underground garage because I know a lot of churches are having issues with the impervious area charge for the DC water. And just, I think this is a great way to help with that, lower that cost while also benefiting the community. So I applaud that.
Great. And as you see, the church has been in DC the entire time. So we definitely don't want to leave DC. We want to stay in the neighborhood and be an asset to the neighborhood as well. So thank you.
Other questions from any of the commissioners?
Well,
go ahead, Commissioner Pinckney.
oh, I didn't want to jump my space, but hearing none, I just wanted to say that I'm recommending that we frame a resolution in support of the resolution that was created by 4B. And I can present it at our exec meeting to make sure it says everything that we would want to say. And we can improve it next month if that's okay.
That sounds like a good plan, Commissioner Pinckney. Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from the general public? No. So Pastor Childs, as Commissioner Pinckney said, what we'll do is we'll be able to vote on this at our March meeting. I don't know, what does your deadline look like in terms of when you need to submit paperwork?
We're still waiting on a hearing date from
Okay.
Zone. So I think we're in good time right now. So that'd be great.
Perfect.
So thank you again, and we're glad to be in 4D. Looking forward to it.
Thank you so much. Welcome to 4D.
Thank you.
Next up on our agenda, we have Mama Chepa Cocina Latina, which is a restaurant located at the intersection of New Hampshire and Gallatin. I think technically they're on First Street, but you wouldn't know it because it's in that little strip mall that really looks like it's on New Hampshire. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, there's a medical supply place, there's a little market there, and now a little restaurant there has just opened up recently. So they are in the process of applying for an Abra liquor license and for permission for live entertainment. And I believe we have representatives here tonight to tell us a little bit more about what their plans are.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Anna DeLeon and I represent Mama Chepa. Yes, it is located at 5801 First Street, Northwest. I have Ben Velasquez or Asclepiades Velasquez. He is the chef and owner, and as well as his wife, Vanessa, and she is also a chef. So Ben has been a chef for 37 years. He is also the chef for Carlos Rosario Charter School on 11th Street. And Vanessa has been a chef for 18 years. So they're from the neighborhood too. So maybe some of you all may know them because they've been in that neighborhood living there for over 20 years. And they also have a catering business, and this is what brought them to open up Mama Chepa. Okay, so they actually right now facilitate 22 daycares. So they make the food and everything, and have also done a lot of catering for, different events for the Congress, for the government, and just private parties. So then they decided that they wanted to come and open up the business here in their neighborhood close to home. So they opened last year, September 12th, 2022. And since they've been there, you know, everyone comes in, it's a family-oriented restaurant. Their hours right now, I believe, are from 11 to 8:30. They would like to extend it somewhat to 11:30. We have applied though for the license, you know, what they explained to us at ABRA, which is a full license, like from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m., 10 a.m. I'm sorry, 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. Going from Sunday to Thursday, and then 3 a.m. from for Friday and Saturday. And the reason being, just because we were told that if they have private events, which they probably will be, you know, doing that as well for their current clientele, you know, sometimes maybe having special events, they would then have to reapply for the license. But right now, what they're planned to do is 10 a.m. to 11 on, let's say, Thursday through, Sunday through Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday, probably until 11:30 or maybe midnight, all depending, you know, how people come in and, you know, what type of events, if they want to have some entertainment license. The reason we applied for that, because in order for you to have any type of music, they told us that you do have to have that license in place.
Thank you. Questions
Yes.
from commissioners?
Hi, Commissioner Pinckney. Did I hear you say that you're going to have outside eatery or place where people can?
No,
Hmm?
nothing
Okay,
outside.
I
There's
didn't
no
think I heard.
space. No,
Okay.
not at all. Not at all. It's
Thank
all
you.
inside, in-house.
Yes,
Yes.
the project sounds pretty good. Can't wait to eat the food.
And the reason we've applied for it as well is because a lot of people come in there, and PD comes in there, our
Mhm.
locals come in there, people from, you know, Maryland and VA come in there. Chef Velasquez is very well known in the city and in the DMV area. So, you know, people always come in and sometimes want to have a wine, you know, glass, or maybe a beer, or maybe a margarita, and there's nothing, you know, plus, you know, people have been requesting, are you going to apply? So, you know, this is one of the reasons they have applied for it.
Yes, I'll be there for a mojito.
Oh, please. Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank
and
you.
the food. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Commissioner Morensic.
Yes, are you planning to have live music at some point?
No. No, I can let Mr. Velasquez, if anything, live music would also include, you know, for, let's say, Cinco de Baño. Like if we have mariachis, you have to have that. You know, if we want to have one of their thoughts also is maybe to have someone to play a guitar or something like that. But that would be like more, they're looking more to like a brunch menu or something to, you know, for entertainment for the customers that come in. But nothing that it's going to be running, you know, late at night or anything. They already, you know, it's already like a 10-hour to 12-hour shift that they're there. So, and they have a lot going on as well. But just
so,
because,
Commissioner, yeah, my name is Benjamin Velasquez, and thank you so very much for allowing us to participate in this environment. You know, for a very long time, we live in Ward 4. As a matter of fact, we opened a restaurant in October of 19 called Texas Cantina in Georgia Avenue in the 5300 block, where just happened the accident because now we have the catering over there. So we live, and our businesses are located on the Ward 4. The concept of Mama Chepa, even though it took us 3 years to rebuild that place, it used to be a dry cleaner over there. So we had to rebuild the entire place, and in the middle of rebuilding and getting some licenses, the pandemic hit. So that's why it took so long to open. But the main intention really, we live a block from there, is to lift up our neighborhood that was not very well served in the past. and right now it's being revitalized. So we have different, a very diverse community over there. We understand very well that it's a hardworking neighborhood. However, the chefs that we have over there, they are all professional chefs. And just to put it very simple, we are serving very good food, technically a half of the price that the downtown restaurants are serving it. But it's the same quality products, it's the same thing. But more importantly, our restaurant is a family-oriented restaurant. We want families to come over there with children, with families. We only have 40 seats. Right now, our industry is selling more carry-out meals because of the culture has shifted. And in order to survive, we have to do whatever we have to do. And the customers are the ones who inquire about having what you say, mojitos, margaritas, piña coladas, which is part of our culture. But it's not really, the focus won't be the selling of the beverages. However, we have to have a legal license to do that. In the future, we are planning to have a live guitar on Fridays and Saturdays while people is dining, because we really wanted to attract people to come in and eat inside of the restaurant. I've been a chef, like she said, for about 37 years. I am the founder of the Culinary Arts program at the Carlos Rosario School. I have trained more than 3,000 DC residents to become professional chefs. So the majority of restaurants that I go, they have alumni of me. And it's something I'm very proud of. I believe in community building. I am an immigrant myself, and Washington D.C. has opened the arms and the doors for me and my family. So I'm very grateful to the city. About 3 years ago, I went to El Salvador with Mayor Bowser because she created a program with El Salvador and with Ethiopia called Sister City Agreements. So to have better understanding between the residents of the District of Columbia and their places of where they were born. So I was part of that delegation supporting her efforts to expand DC culture outside of our borders, creating bridges, because at the time, was Mr. Trump who was building walls. You say, let's not build walls, but bridges of understanding and respect and consideration. So if you have any question, I will be very happy to answer it. Otherwise, I invite everybody to please come to the 5000 block of New Hampshire Street. We are between Gallatin and Farragut, and we will be very happy to have you over there. It's brand new. The place is brand new. Even the restaurants are sparkling, so the people is very happy when they come in. You see, culturally, people go to the restaurant when they come to restaurants. So we want to make sure that it's always sparkling and smelling good.
Thank you, Chef. Any other questions or comments from either the community or from any of the commissioners? One thing that I will bring up briefly is I was receiving private messages from a couple of people during the conversation. That particular strip there has had some issues with public safety in the past. And so I actually stopped by your restaurant the other night and it was filled with police officers.
Right.
And so part of their presence there is because there have been some crime issues with that particular block. And so I hope having a restaurant there will help maybe alleviate some of that, some of those issues. So I hope that will be a positive thing for that strip there.
Excuse me, Commissioner, the first thing that we did when we opened Mama Chepa was to invite any police officer from the city or firefighter to come, and they will have a 25% discount. So a lot of them come and eat lunch. So just with their presence over there, it provides certain level of sense of security to the neighbors. But yes, our neighborhood, myself, we have 5 vandalized cars in the past 3 years, but it's getting better. The city is being revitalized. The Georgia Avenue corridor, and right now the New Hampshire Avenue corridor, which is where we move ourselves, are being revitalized, and we're very happy for it.
Thank you. Any other questions or feedback from any of the commissioners or the community? No? Well, thank you all very much for joining us tonight. We appreciate you coming, and we wish you luck with your new restaurant.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
We
much, Commissioner.
appreciate everyone. Thank
And
you.
thank you for the work you do. I know you are doing it also to build community.
Thank you.
So if you
Well, we
if you
can't
ever
wait.
need,
We can't wait. Maybe we'll ask you to cater our executive meeting next month.
or you can come to Mama Chepa, all of you. You have a meeting over there. We close the restaurant just for you. It's no problem.
Thank
We are all
Tempting.
work for it, right?
Yes, that's right.
And I know Mayor Bowser have a special appreciation for Ward 4.
Thank you for the invitation. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you, everyone.
With that said, I think we got through everything on our agenda. So if there are no objections, we can adjourn.
A motion to adjourn.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Without objection, we will adjourn and see you all next month. So thank you all and have a good evening, everybody.
Have
Okay,
a good
bye.
evening.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.